Hello and welcome to Esri Australia's video tutorial on setting up your school account. This can often be the largest barrier that stands in the way of schools beginning to use GIS technology, so we're going to go through this process today so that you can get up and running immediately. After your order is processed, you'll receive an email titled "Your Arcgis Online subscription is ready to go." For today's tutorial, I've copied this into a Word document for easier navigation. This email contains everything you need to complete the initial setup of your school account. We're going to work through this step by step. The email begins with a simple welcome before jumping immediately into important instructions, and I want to point out this second paragraph here. You will be required to create an Esri account and activate your school subscription. And I just want to point out that if you're not the person that should be doing this, then you might need to forward this email on to an IT manager. For instance, I know a lot of geography teachers get the ball rolling and are in contact with me about setting up a school license, but the IT manager often takes over the process of managing and administering that account for the school moving forward. So if that's the case for your school, you might need to forward this email onto your IT manager. Now we go down to step 1, which is creating a new Arcgis online account. And to begin creating a new Arcgis online account, all we need to do is click on this URL, which contains our activation code. As you can see at the end of the URL, we have activation code and a string of letters and numbers. And that string of letters and numbers is unique to your school account, so you need to click on that to get that ball rolling. If you can't click on the link above for any reason, you can copy the highlighted yellow bit into your URL and into a browser window. After clicking on that first link, it's going to bring us to this page, Activate Your Organisational Subscription. And we're going to choose by creating a new account because we have not yet set up our school's GIS account. So we're going to click that, and we're going to click Next. And it's going to then ask us to enter our personal details in order to create our account. Enter your details for each field, noting that there are some rules around passwords and that they must be at least 8 characters and have at least 1 number and 1 letter, and they cannot match the username either. Continue to enter the rest of the details for the fields as necessary, and then agree to the privacy terms. Feel free to read them as well, and click Create My Account. And it will bring us to this next type, which gives us the option to choose a user type, and we're just going to stick with GIS Professional Advanced, as that's the best one for us moving forward, and we're going to click Activate. This will take us to the page where we can begin to set up our organisation and give it some details. So the first step is to set up your organisation's name. So that's usually the name of your school. In this case I've made one up, and that's Greenleaf State High School. And you can also give your school a short name. So in this case I've gone GLSHS, and that comes up as being available, and it shows what that URL will then look like, down here on this final line. So glshs.maps.arcgis.com. So you could link that to your school's intranet page, for example. Scrolling down, we need to set our language as English, so that we can change the number and date format. By default it chooses US, and we want to choose Australia if we're based in Australia. You set your region so that when you open new maps, the map extent focuses on Australia rather than somewhere else in the world. And this is an optional step. You can choose to create a Contact Us link that appears at the bottom of your page, and you can choose to put into this box here a valid website URL or a valid mail to link. So I've got my education@esriaustralia.com.au email address in there, which is valid. And this is also optional. So ArcGIS in this last step is asking for permissions to collect usage information from organisation members to improve its user experience. It's optional. You are working with students under 18. You might choose to untick that or tick that. It's up to you. And once you're happy with it, you're going to press Save and Continue. Note that you can come back at any time if you wish to log out and resume at a later date. And once it loads, it'll bring us to the Organisation tab, up here, and it's come up with a bit of a warning for me. Your Arcgis Online subscription will expire in 9 days. You guys don't need to worry about that because I've just set this one up for training purposes, so you shouldn't get this little warning. This is going to expire after a short amount of time for me. So I'm going to click OK, and it gives me a little welcome message giving some instructions as to add more members to my organisation. So usually one of the first steps that teachers need to do is either add more teachers, more colleagues, or add some students from their class. And it gives you a little bit of an overview of what that entails. And you can also tailor the look and content of many of your organisation's page by visiting the Settings tab. We're going to maybe not focus too much on that today. We're going to click OK. At this stage, if we return to our email, we'll have noticed that we've actually completed Step 1, creating a new Arcgis Online account, and Step 2, activating our Arcgis Online subscription. So we've actually worked through both of those steps in this video so far. That brings us to Step 3, which links our organisation's account, so the account we just set up, with my Esri, so that we can access licensing and downloads. An Esri account is requested to access my Esri, which is where you can download additional software such as Arcgis Pro and manage your license. In order to access these downloads and manage your license, you must first link your Esri account to your organisation, and we're going to do that by clicking the embedded token link below to begin the process. And that's where you would click on this embedded token link, which would help connect the two together. Unfortunately, I'm not able to model this step, but I will show you around my Esri so you're a little bit more familiar with its capabilities and its function. Upon linking your My Esri account to your school organisation subscription, you'll be presented with a screen similar to this. You'll notice that there are 4 main tabs up the top. In the Dashboard tab, I just want to point out this Common Questions sub-tab. In here, there are a load of different categories that have different questions associated with that particular category. So if you're wondering about licensing or transactions or your profile, for instance, you can simply click on them, and by clicking on a question, for example, what is the purpose of my Esri, it provides us with an answer there. And this is a really good question to look at. What is the purpose of my Esri? It's a single location where you can manage all aspects of your relationship with Esri. My Esri consolidates your organization's information into a single experience, including data from support, customer service, events, and training. My Esri also contains the software downloads and authorization numbers necessary for you to install and activate any Esri products you decide to download. So this is a really useful spot to just come and get some quick answers at a glance. The next tab, My Profile, is where, like many apps, like many things, you can edit your contact information, edit your email settings, and whatnot. So that's fairly straightforward. I'm not going to go through that too much. Now this is the next tab, My Organizations tab, is the heart of your My Esri. So if we click on that, you'll notice that there's a range of sub-tabs, and that I've blurred out this particular account just for privacy reasons. But on our first page, we have an overview of your account, where you can see things like your account name, your address, and your customer number. If we go over to the next one, we can view our users. And this is a place where we can manage users. We can invite other teachers to become administrators as well. You'll notice that this particular school doesn't have any users because they actually didn't follow the instructions and haven't linked their Arcgis Online account to their My Esri account. And there'll be a time in the future when this particular school probably needs that to happen. Going through to transactions, it just tells you about any transactions of your licenses, and you'll notice that these will be priced as 0 because the GIS for Schools program is free. We have licensing as the next sub-tab, and that'll give you information about the license type that your school is currently on. The next tab, we have downloads. Now, if you've requested Arcgis Online for your school with the capabilities of Arcgis Pro, then this is where you need to go to be able to view those products. ArcGIS Pro sits in here, and by clicking View Downloads, you will be able to go down, scroll down a little bit, and you'll notice that I can actually download ArcGIS Pro onto something like a school computer, or onto your own your own school laptop device. So that's where you go to download ArcGIS Pro. And then the next tab is Training. And this just keeps a record of any training that you have decided to undertake. The great thing about being on the GIS for Schools program is that you have access to a large range of training resources that Esri offers. So you can access them and enroll in them at any time, and that'll just keep a record of your training here. If we go to Support, this keeps a record of any support cases that you've had, and you'll notice that this school currently has 3 closed, which means we've offered support to them, we've resolved their issue, and we've closed the support case. However, if you have a current support case open, you can access this at any time to see where that support case is up to. And the last couple are events. So it just gives you, again, a record of your event registrations and reports, which allows you to essentially view any of these particular topics as a report. So this is my Esri at a glance, but it's really important that you do set it up and join it to your school account, particularly when you are looking to gain technical support, because this is where we need to log it, and this is where you can log them yourselves and keep up to date as to where that is in its progress. After completing step 3 and linking your organisation's account to My Esri, it's time to return to the email really briefly. So from there, after completing step 1, 2 and 3, you're essentially ready to go. Your account is set up, and you're able to start building and creating maps, inviting users, adding teachers and students. Just here in this email, we've got a little bit of an orientation as to where to go next. So a really great idea is to visit our website to look at further resources, including professional development resources, so how to actually learn about using the ArcGIS software. We've got training guides, and we've also got learning materials and pre-made lesson plans that fit really nicely into the Australian curriculum as well. We also have some important information that we'd like you to hold on to, so it's a really good idea to maybe archive this email in a separate folder. Maybe that folder in your Outlook is called something like ArcGIS, because we do include your subscription ID and your customer number, and these are just dummy numbers, but it's really important that you hold on to those numbers, because whenever you need to ask support for some help on a particular issue, it's important that you quote these numbers. Here we just have an outline of what your license entails. Doesn't really matter too much. And at the very end of the email we have a link to where to go next if you have some questions or need some help. So at any time, schools are able to email support@esriaustralia.com.au in order to help resolve any issues that they may be facing. Alternatively, you can also email the education team and myself at education@esriaustralia.com.au, and I'd be more than happy to assist as well. And then we have some self-help resources as well, and they're just up on the general Esri website. They're not specific to schools, but they might be a useful place to go if you are looking for some extra help.